I see. Yeah, well, I think that's a threatening text, and I'm not going to make a judgment exactly how God and Jesus apply that today. I would say that most in churches have not been exposed to the true gospel with any clarity, and there's always the sliding scale. In John 15, Jesus said, "If I hadn't come and told you, you wouldn't be guilty, but now that I told you." So I'm going to leave that judgment to Jesus. I do think it's a very serious matter that people do not speak of the gospel of the kingdom. It's a patently obvious fact that all these tracts offering salvation, particularly the Billy Graham School, and things like the four spiritual laws, or if that's right, three spiritual laws, the various tracts that offer salvation completely, almost without exception, forget to tell you that the gospel is firstly the gospel of the kingdom. So we've got a lot of work to do to reintroduce that language about the gospel of the kingdom. So I'm not going to make the judgment because I cannot assess to what extent people may not yet be guilty, but if when told plainly, Mark 1, 14, 15, repent and believe in the gospel of the kingdom, when that's hammered home to them, then they become responsible for that. The degree of responsibility now, I would just hope that God would be very merciful, because there are a lot of very genuine people, but they never had the gospel of the kingdom properly explained to them, and therefore they're in danger, I would suggest, of losing the teaching of Jesus. That in 1 Timothy 6:3 and 2 John 7-9, it's the teaching of Jesus, the gospel teaching of Jesus, and everything that goes with it, that you absolutely must not miss out on. So here's a chance for our listeners to get clear on the beginning of the gospel. That's Mark 1:1. Isn't that wonderful? The beginning. In Hebrews 2, it says that the Son spoke in these last days. He didn't speak in the past because he wasn't alive yet. But in these last days, the Son spoke to us. It's the beginning of Hebrews. And then it talks about the beginning of his preaching there, which was first spoken. There it is. Yes, first announced. The Greek there is even clearer. This salvation had its beginning when it was spoken by Jesus. And of course, we could add that John the Baptist was even earlier than that. So New Testament Christianity, we need to stress constantly, begins with the preaching of John the Baptist announcing the preaching of Jesus. It does not, I repeat, not, underlining not 100 times, it does not begin at the cross. It begins with the teaching of Jesus, to which, of course, was then added, when those events happened, the death and the resurrection. Billy Graham says in many of his tracts that the death and resurrection of Jesus is the whole gospel. That's patently false, because you get rid of the teaching of Jesus which came earlier. Only in Matthew 16:21, actually, did Jesus begin for the first time to even mention his death. And they didn't even believe it when he said it. But they'd been preaching the gospel. So I want all of our listeners to carefully think this out. What is this gospel, which is not just the 3 days' work that Billy Graham, with great respect to him, says that Jesus came to do? I repeat, Jesus, according to Billy Graham, came to do 3 days' work: to die, to be buried, and to... I say that's just false. What was Jesus doing for the time before he even began to talk of his death in Matthew 16? The answer is he was preaching the gospel of the kingdom. So if you don't know, you can put yourself to the test now. What then, you ask your friends, was Jesus doing before he began to speak of his death in Matthew 16:21? And the answer is Luke 4:43. Now you can give yourself a little self-test now. If you know instinctively, without my having to tell you what Luke 4:43 says, you're doing well. If you don't, I don't think you've been preaching the gospel, because Jesus said in Luke 4:43, a slogan text, a refrigerator verse, if ever there was one, I came to preach the gospel of the kingdom of God. Jesus said, that's why God commissioned me. Can you say, as a member of the body of Christ, that that's your commission? If you can't, you haven't got clear on the gospel of the kingdom.